Hey ho, Monk on the hill here. Let me tell you about my no work, no freeze chicken water. It all starts here. I'm standing on my reservoir. It's fed from a well over there. And the problem I'm having is the solution to my water. The well spits more water out than I am using. Yes, there is an overflow pipe, but when I finally found it, I realized it was filled up with roots that I pulled out, but of course they broke. So the water keeps on overflowing on the road if I'm not using it otherwise down the road on my property. You might be not as lucky as I am with having too much water, but maybe I have an idea for you. First, let me show you my system, and then I'll tell you what might work for you. This is where my main water to the house comes to. I attach the hose and leave it open just a tiny little bit. And from there I buried it all the way through the garden behind the house where the chicken coop is. Not very deep, maybe 5 centimeters or 10, just that I don't destroy it when I go through with a trimmer. Then it's coming to the chicken run. Finally it's attached to a more stable PVC pipe where I could mount a tap. Here the water goes into a drain pipe. I cut out big pieces of it, but not everything for stability. The whole pipe is in a slight angle that the water keeps on flowing. The upper end is closed up, the lower end as well, but there is another pipe attached that leads around an angle into the chicken coop. And because everything on my property is on a slope, I can just lead it into the chicken coop, through it, through another shed and out in the garden again. Yes, it might look messy and dirty, but with a constant flow the light material will be washed away and the heavier one is settling on the ground, so the birds always have clean water to drink. And of course, because of the constant flow, it will never freeze. We had a very mild winter this year, but still there were some nights with minus 10 degrees Celsius, that is. And this water never let me down. It just keeps on flowing, and the birds always have fresh water. The weather is just crazy these days. Climate change. Do you realize these effects in your area as well? Let me know in the comments. Inside of the chicken coop, I first used this as a waterer. Of course, it constantly kept on tipping over. They constantly stepped in, pooped in, got it super dirty. For the tipping over problem, it's easy. You just put a heavy rock in it and it'll be stable. But still I wasn't happy with that situation. Constantly having to change the water because it got muddy. I realized that the pipe coming into the coop wasn't exactly vertical. That means the water flowing down will flow on one side of the pipe. So I simply cut out a bit and hot glued a part into the pipe where the water might rest for a little while. And what can I say? It works. The chickens accepted it pretty quickly. It works for even multiple ones. And I will never work on the chicken water again. But what if you don't have too much water like I do? Or you can't afford to have your tap open all the time, even if it's just a tiny little bit. So we know flowing water isn't freezing. So you could make a container that's somewhere higher up, a lower container to collect the water again, attach a pipe that looks kind of like mine. In the lower container I would put up some mesh or something that you can put some filter material on top. That should filter out the most dirt that the chickens might bring in. You fill up the upper container with water. That'll flow down the pipe in the lower container. There you install a small pump, one like for a well or a pond. That pump transports the water back up, maybe even inside of the pipe. Just make sure the pump has about the same flow as the pipe, and you will have a constant water flow. So you see, there are always possibilities to make your life easier, reduce your work, and still keep your animals happy. I hope you enjoyed. Maybe you learned something new. Maybe it gave you some more ideas how to solve problems. And see you in the next video.